It all started in Moscow, Russia, where a man and a woman fell in love. Okay, that's enough. And brought a child into the world on August 25th, 1530, named Ivan the Oh, wait, no, that's later. Anywho, unfortunately, Ivan's father dies 3 years later, and his mother was poisoned only 5 years after, leaving Ivan all alone with his brothers and living in fear. Ivan developed a disturbing passion for torture. He would throw small animals off the tops of buildings and pluck the feathers of birds and slit open their stomachs. Although he was very religious, when he prayed, he would bang his head against the ground as he bowed to the religious idols.
Sadly, in that moment in his life, Ivan was still too young to gain that much power. So the most powerful member, Shuisky, of the Boyar Duma, the Russian government at the time, took power. He didn't treat Ivan nor his brother well, providing them little food and clothing. Eventually, at the age of 13, he got tired of the Boyar Duma and had one of the men clubbed to death as well as thrown to savage dogs and took his rightful place as the Prince of Russia.
Time passed and he wanted more, so he became the first Tsar of all the Russians, and he began to create a Russian empire. He wanted a wife to give him an heir to his power, so he arranged a kind of contest to find this woman. He found this woman named Anastasia Zakharina, who had a calming effect on him. But when she wasn't around, he became cruel and paranoid to people, fearing they would overthrow him. For example, he would make people lie down in the snow and set their beards on fire just because.
During his years, he did do some good things, one being the creation of chancelleries or organized departments. This made it so instead of just one guy maintaining everything, it was split up into sections. Someone would be in charge of the palace, the diplomacy, the treasury, the military, etc. And another being that he opened up trade routes to England.
But he was power hungry, waging wars between 1552 and 1570 to expand Russia. One of the places he conquered was the Muslim country of Kazan. He led an army of about 150,000 men into Kazan, leaving it in chaos. He killed the prisoners and expelled the Muslims, forcing to practice the religion of Christianity. He came home a hero to Russia, but was he really?
Many of his close friends died because of these battles, making him just a bit more insane. The son Anastasia bore died as well as the daughter at the age of 2, and also his brother died, leaving him even more emotionally unstable. And the cherry on top of this delicious, horrible sundae that is Ivan's life, his wife died mysteriously at the age of 27. There was no one left to repress his terrible, terrible temper.
So he pointed his frustration and grief toward the innocent people of Russia. He began to murder high-ranking Russians because he thought they were the cause of his family's death. He began a reign of terror and killed thousands of his own people, leaving many in fear. This is how he received the title of Ivan the Terrible. He had many methods of torture. He would often slowly boil or fry people to extract confessions and then kill them once they confessed.
He would also hang people upside down and hack off pieces of their body and toss them into the lakes to feed the crayfish, he said. He loved to watch their suffering. He killed approximately 300 people a day. A day! He created a secret police force called the Oprichniki, who blindly followed all his murderous orders. They wore black robes and rode large horses, carried swords, and tied dog heads to their saddles. Ivan would have them bring peasant girls to whip and use as target practices. People were terrified. Over 10,000 people at the hands of Ivan's police force died.
Ivan was so focused on all the torturing that he left his country very weak and neglected foreign affairs. So the Khan of the Crimean Tartars took advantage of Ivan's distractions. He sent a large army into Russia, and as they came close, Ivan became a coward and fled. He left the Oprichniki to fight the large army off, but they were no match. The army burned cities and took many prisoners.
Only when they left did Ivan come back. He sought someone to blame, which ended up being the Oprichniki, because according to him, they should have been able to defeat them. As things settled down, his eldest and favorite son and him got into an argument. They were shouting, and in the heat of the moment, Ivan stabbed his son in the head with an iron-tipped staff. There was no going back from this, and he died 3 days later. This left Ivan even more unstable, and people even avoiding him more, fearful that if they said the wrong thing, they would end up like his own son.
He felt extreme guilt killing his son. In an attempt to buy his way back into heaven, he sent money to monasteries and became a monk. He died at the age of 54 during a game of chess, and left his country in chaos. He may have extended the size of Russia, but not the power. He was an unfit ruler.